Hello, this is John Michael Gurule, and I am going to be doing a video on the Holy Bible versus the Holy Quran. So I already did show you a lot of the books that we read out of. This book here, again, are all of Muhammad's friends are in here. All his wives are in here. Everybody that ever knew Muhammad is in here. They give reports about the Prophet's life. If you read in here, it teaches you, it's going to teach you a prayer at night, shortening the prayers, right here is going to show you the prayer of night. It's going to teach you a lot about the family of Muhammad, the two caliphs that were his best friends, all his wives. He had numerous wives after his first wife died. And he had some experiences in a cave called Hira. And so he was the prophet of Allah. I mean, they call him the messenger of God. Allah called himself God. The only other person that would ever call himself God was Lucifer, Satan, Beelzebub, Hubal, Allah. Always wanted worship. He wanted Jesus to bow down and worship him and give him homage, but Jesus said, no, you only worship God and God only. And one of the temptations that he tempted Jesus with, and he always wanted some kind of worship or homage, and so he ended up doing his own thing. He built the Kaaba. He built the Muhammad in Medina, where he passed away. That's where they got all his stories, reports from, in that book right there. And the Holy Quran teaches you the same thing. They have a lot of scriptures in there talking about prayer, stuff like that. Right here in this book here, I don't know if you can see, he's got a little tail back there. That is Satan himself, the winged creature with a tail. Tells you about that in Revelation chapter 12, where he swings his tail and knocks down a third of the stars. Well, that's him. Sitting right here, is Muhammad. They're in the cave of Hira, and the one that approached him was Gabriel, and Allah. It was Satan himself, and he was about ready to build him a place, because if you notice that the people from the Kaaba, when they went down with Al-Malik to go build Al-Aqsa Mosque, they came from the Kaaba, from the Mecca. They all went down over there and they built the Al-Aqsa Mosque. But again, this is Satan, and there is Muhammad in the cave of Hira. The story I have taught in colleges. This is a guy who wrote the book. In seminaries for many years. The subject includes most of the world's religions, including Islam. I am familiar with the origins and the teachings of most of the world's major religions. I also am familiar with the claims of Islam that its founder and Prophet Muhammad believed that he was visited by the angel Gabriel in a cave near Mecca, Saudi Arabia. Muhammad believed that during these visitations the angel Gabriel caused Muhammad to recite. He, as told to read, but Muhammad was illiterate and could neither read nor write. The Muslims' holy book, the Quran. We also know that Muhammad often left these angelic visitations in fits of epileptic-like seizures, whereupon he would then repeat the dictations to his trusted friends. They in turn wrote Muhammad's utterances on whatever writing materials were available, including paper, parchment, and even animal skins and bone fragments. These friends then would memorize the sayings and that they had written. Sometimes later the sayings were collected and saved. The sayings eventually were formalized into the Quran, which is finalized more than 2 centuries after Muhammad's death. Interestingly, many of the guardians of the Quran, the friends who memorized the sayings following Muhammad's cave experiences, they were in this book right here. You can see it. It has 9 volumes. The Sahih al-Bukhari book. This is a book that's gonna, all his friends are gonna go ahead and they wrote down everything that Muhammad saw, what he said, what he did, the experience he had with Allah. You'll find his friends and family in there trying to explain what happened. And what turned out to Muhammad was a good thing, that he got a visitation from an angel, Gabriel, and visited by Satan himself. You'd think he would be excited to get a visitation like that. You know what I mean? He's there praying in the cave of Hira, and he's like, got a visitation. Oh, wow, cool. But most of the time he had to flee from that cave. I mean, they suppressed him. They kind of battered him up somewhat, where he took off running back to his wife's house, and he said, cover me, cover me. And he was afraid of these two. And even got to the point where Allah came and said, I can see you. You know, you're covered in you're being covered. You're hiding from your job. He goes, Satan told him, you need to go back to the Kaaba and remove the 360 idols from the Kaaba. And so that's what grabbed Muhammad's attention, because Muhammad was kind of a spiritual guy. He was like a good guy in the beginning. He was a pretty good guy. He liked to pray a lot. And so he got excited. So he goes back to the Kaaba and he tells everybody that he needs to remove all of this 360 idols from the Kaaba. And everybody that was in Mecca was running a business. I mean, people from all over the world were coming to visit the Kaaba. It was the house of God, is what they were telling everybody, because it was the house of gods, is what it was, because they had 360 different gods that they were worshiping there, because that's what they did at that time. So that was big business. It's still big business right now to this day. It's big business. So They make a lot of money. Billions of Muslims and Arabs go to the Kaaba every year, Ramadan year. Every year there's thousands and millions of people go to the Kaaba. They kiss the stone, they touch the stone to rid themselves of their sins. And the only problem with that is that Allah is not God. They say that Muhammad is a messenger of God, which is Allah, which is Satan himself. And you give Satan a lot of credit. He got Medina going. People by the thousands go to Medina. It's real beautiful over there. People go over there and they walk around. You can get a tour guide. Go to Medina and they give you a whole tour of the whole city. You can't go into the sacred grounds, the holy site itself. I don't know. You have to be Muslim to go in there, but there's some people that go there that are from all over the world. They want to go see. But you have to be a Muslim to go into the holy site. So these books like this, Malik goes from the Kaaba, and he has the Al-Aqsa Mosque built on the Temple Mount. And this Temple Mount is where God had two of his temples up there. And then they got to build a third one. So this mosque, Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Golden Dome, have to be removed right after the Great Gathering in Heaven, the rapture of the church. The Antichrist goes over there and is forced to remove it, or they remove it because of the rapture of the church. God shows up. I think what's going to happen here is that God's going to hand over the Temple Mount over to the Gentiles, and they're going to do another abomination of desolation the last 3.5 years on the Temple Mount. There's going to be a battle, the Armageddon battle, from the Mount of Olives where Jesus returns back to, and the separation of the Kidron Valley on the other side is going to be the Temple Mount, I imagine so. And there's going to be the Armageddon War, where Satan does declare himself to be God of this world. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with this presentation. This will be part 3. And I want to kind of bring to your attention, was Abraham and Ishmael there in Mecca where they gave the blessings to build the Kaaba? The Kaaba was built in 600 BC, maybe, before Christ. And the Kaaba was built. And so was Abraham and Ishmael there? You know, the thing that we're about to read right now will show you that they weren't there. They were like 1,500 years apart. Muhammad got Islam started, the Quran book started, and Abraham and Ishmael were nowhere near there. Abraham was a Jewish Hebrew. His son Ishmael was, I would say he was an Egyptian Muslim. God blessed him, and he had 12 sons and some daughters. They were all princes. And Ishmael was a prince of somewhere way up in Saudi Arabia, nowhere near Mecca. I mean, but these guys were here before, 1,500 years before even Muhammad showed up. There's no way Abraham and Ishmael could have been there to bless the building of the Kaaba. and I'll show you proof. In this presentation, it's going to read, was Abraham ever in Mecca? Abraham wandered through Haran, as in Genesis 11:31 tells us, not Arabia. He went to Canaan as God instructed him in Genesis 12:4 and 6, not to Mecca Valley. There is no report that Abraham and Ishmael went to Arabia and built the Kaaba in Mecca. Although Abraham did spend several years in Egypt, right here it says that Abraham did build altars for God, but he never built Kaaba. The 4 altars that Abraham built, they're all pretty, how do you say it? There was a reason for every one of these altars. Number 1, an altar of praise. You'll find that in Genesis 12:1 through 7. And it reads, Yahweh said to Abram, leave your country, your kings, your kindred, and your father's house for a country which I shall show you. I shall make you a great nation. I shall bless you and make your name famous. You are to be a blessing. I shall bless those who bless you. I shall curse those who curse you. And all clans on earth I will bless themselves by you. So this is a good prayer. I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse those who curse you. You know, you can learn about the blessings and the curses and stuff like that God gives out. Nobody can give a curse on you, not unless they're practicing sorcery or witchcraft. I've heard some people say, you know, curses on people if they don't abide by their ways of life. You know, people will curse you, or they'll bless you if they like you. You know, it's not that way. It's God does that. So Abraham went as Yahweh told him, and Lot went with him. Abraham was 75 years old when he left Haran. Abraham took his wife Sarah, his nephew Lot, and the possessions they had amassed and the people they had acquired in Haran. They set out for the land of Canaan and arrived there. Abraham passed to the country as far as the holy place of Shechem, the oak of Moriah. The Canaanites were in the country at the time. Yahweh appeared to Abram and said, I shall give this country to your prodigy. And there Abram built an altar to Yahweh who had appeared to him. Okay, that's the first altar that Abram built to God. The second altar, that was an altar of praise. You can find that in Genesis 12:1 through 7. The altar of prayer you can find in Genesis chapter 12, verse 8 and 9. So from there he moved on to the mountainous district east of Bethel, where he pitched his tent, with Bethel to the west and Ai to the east. There he built an altar to Yahweh and invoked the name of Yahweh. Then Abraham made his way stage by stage to Negeb. So that's the second altar. The altar of praise, the altar of prayer. The third altar he built was an altar of peace. You can find that in Genesis 13, verse 14 through 18. Yahweh said to Abram, after Lot had parted company from him, look all around from where you are, to north and south, to east and west, for all the land within sight I shall give to you and your descendants forever. I shall make your descendants like the dust on the ground. when people succeed in counting the specks of the dust on the ground, then they will be able to count your descendants too. That's a lot. On your feet, travel the length and breadth of the country, for I mean to give it to you. So Abram moved his tent and went to settle at the oak of Mamre in Hebron, and there he built an altar to Yahweh. You can see that altar there on TV or the YouTube. If you look for these altars, you can find them. They're still there. The fourth altar, that was the altar of peace. The fourth one is the altar of provision. This is in Genesis chapter 22, verse 9 through 14. And it says, and when they arrived at the place which God had indited to him, Abraham built an altar there and arranged the wood, and he bound his son and put him on the altar on top of the wood. Abraham stretched out his hand and took a knife to kill his son. But the angel of Yahweh called to him from heaven, Abraham, Abraham, he said. Here I am. He replied, do not raise your hand against the boy. The angel said, do not harm him, for now I know you fear God. You have not refused me your own beloved son. Then looking up, Abraham saw a ram caught by its horns in a bush. Abraham took the ram and offered it as a burnt offering in place of his son. Abraham called this place Yahweh Provides, and hence the saying today on the mountain Yahweh Provides. So that was 4 altars that Abraham built. Like I said, Abraham was nowhere near, neither was his son. Ishmael had 12 sons. They were all princes, and he had some daughters too. And they were nowhere near Mecca, nowhere Medina, where some people would say that they're related to Ishmael somehow. And I don't think that they're related to him because he had 12 princes. I don't think that, 1,500 years before Muhammad shows up. Anyways, so as I'm going to continue to read, what is the Kaaba? It's a cube. Is most sacred site in Islam, known as a sacred Bayt, B-A-Y-T. It says Allah, the house of God, in Mecca, Saudi Arabia. Let me see. The Kaaba is a shrine, a great mosque. The Quranish tribe built and rebuilt the Kaaba in 608 Christ era with wood and stone. God Almighty and Allah are not the same. Allah and Gabriel are fallen angels. There's a movie called The Shocking Story When the Black Stone Was Stolen from the Kaaba. You can watch on YouTube. It's a movie on... oh, never mind. I jumped the gun here. After removing 360 idols from the Kaaba, Muhammad, with the help of others, put the black stone on the corner of the Kaaba. According to popular Islamic legend, the stone was given to Adam on his fall from paradise and was originally white but has become black by absorbing the sins of the thousands of pilgrims who have kissed and touched it. Paradise was the Garden of Eden. The only people in the Garden of Eden was God, Lucifer, the serpent, who turns into a serpent. Adam and Eve in Genesis 3:1 through 24 read, That's where Satan tempts Adam and Eve. And then later on in chapter 5 of the book of Genesis, this is where God brings them back into his good graces. In Revelation chapter 12 and 9, the dragon was cast out, the old serpent of old, called the devil and Satan, who deceives the whole world, cast to the ground, crashed to the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. So the black stone is venerated, honored. Muslims kiss the stone because the Prophet Muhammad, messenger of Allah, kissed the black stone. Allah is the standard Arabic word for God. The God of Islam. Islam recognizes no other God but Allah. So this guy here, he's from the guy I'm about to talk to now, Abu Tahir. Tahir. He is a Persian warlord and ruler of the Kermatians. In 900 AD attacked Mecca, Kaaba, and killed 30,000 Muslim men and took away the black stone and held it in his possession for 23 years. The Kermatians stolen in 930 AD, Abu Tashir and Al-Kermatian was the leader. His reign saw an expansion. He raided Basra in 923 and Kufa in 1927. He also threatened to take over Baghdad and rob much of Iraq. All of this is in the same area here. He was not considered a peaceful leader. Went back to Al-Hassa, the capital of the Kermatians. Hassa was the capital of the Kermatians. This Abu Tashir died at 38 years old of smallpox. This Abu Tashir, the stone was taken away 23 years. The Abbasids had to pay a huge amount of money. Abbasids had to pay a huge amount of money to get this black stone back. The stone was broken into 8 pieces during its hostage and removal. Now, I'll put down, this is a shocking story of the black stone was stolen from the Kaaba. It's a movie, it's a YouTube movie. You can watch how it was stolen. And this story is a 12-minute video. Another video name that you'll watch here is that who put the black stone in the toilet. That was Abu Tashir put the Muslims to the test. Was he for real or was he not for real? So he proved that they were not for real. And I mean, there was a lot of tests that he gave them that proved that they were for real. But you can find him in the black stone. You can find that story, put the black stone in the toilet. Who put the black stone in the toilet? That will explain how the black stone was broken into 8 pieces. So the Kaaba was tested in 906 by Abu Tahir, led by the Kermatians. Most infamous attack when he pillaged Mecca and desecrated Islam's most sacred sites, killing 30,000 Muslims. A movie called Gabriel. The movie is called Jinn, Jinn, YouTube. Now you'll know what these jinns look like. They're fallen angels. They're very strong, but you can only do so much to you. You know what I mean? If you sin, I mean, they'll take over your life. They'll ruin you. That's why God says, repent, don't sin, don't sin, don't touch that tree of knowledge of good and evil. You know, God gives you all these things. Don't do it, don't do it, you know, but some people still sin. Some people, the 7 deadly sins, you know what I mean? People still sin. That movie Jinn is a very good movie. I watched it myself. It's about Gabriel, the Jinn Gabriel, the same one who attacked Muhammad. Um, 1.5 hour movie, very good movie. Muhammad, the messenger of Allah, had a revelation of a jinn, Gabriel, not the angel Gabriel of the Holy Bible, and revealed to him the beginning of what would later become the Quran. Allah and the fallen angel Jibril are both jinns, fallen angels known as Satan himself. So with that right there, I'm going to go ahead and stop. It's 30 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and finish this off here. It's about another 30 minutes to finish it off. This will give you a good idea of what's going on here. I'm also going to be talking about the Palestinians, where they came from. Their Greek origin, come from Crete. They come from Antiochus Epiphanes, Assyrian, Seleucid Greek king, Antiochus Epiphanes IV. And he starts trouble, the first abomination of desolation in Jerusalem. They fought against Judas Maccabeus and his family. His father Matthias was the priest of, I'll make sure I try to have it, Moldine. And they didn't allow these lucid Greek kings to come in there and destroy Jerusalem. They battled them for 3.5 years. They won, and they ended up coming back to Jerusalem, and they built the menorah again. They cleaned out the temple. They were sacrificing pigs in there. They put a statue of Zeus in there, some kind of Greek god, and they cleaned everything back up. They redid the menorah. It had 8 candles, 1 in the middle, and they lit them up, and that's what they call Hanukkah. The Hanukkah 8-day prayer. They still do it to this day in Jerusalem. People do it over here around the world, the 8-day prayer of Hanukkah. So it starts in December and on the 7th and ends on the 15th every year. So I'm going to go ahead and end this presentation. This will be part 3. Let me upload this one, get this one up there, and then I'll get started on the 4th one. Thank you very much. Have a good day.